Greetings, chess players. My name is Chris Torres. This is Leo, my son.
By the way, is this game the one where...
Well, we'll get to that in a moment.
Ding beating?
This is Daily Chess Musings, the Winter Chess Camp 2024, in honor of Gukesh Dommaraju winning the World Championship. When we last left, we saw him put a stop to the bleeding in Game 2 after losing Game 1. We saw that Ding didn't push, maybe for some advantages that he should have in that game, been a little more aggressive. And we're going to see more of that in Game 3. This game, Gukesh strikes back. He is going to get the victory in this game, and we will see how right now.
He loses.
No. Okay, let's take a look.
Is this the one where he
you haven't
win the queen?
No, you haven't seen this game, Leo. All right, so D4, Knight F6. So Gukesh is white, plays D4, and let's see. So he's controlling the dark square on E5. Black, which is Ding, brings his knight out to F6. So he is looking at the light squares. And knight F3, very flexible move. Again, controlling dark squares, developing a piece, controlling dark squares. And black plays D5, controlling light squares, symmetrical queen pawn opening. Let's see, C4. So we have transposed into a queen's gambit of sorts, right? Normally we see D4, D5, C4, and then maybe the knights come out, but you can do it this move order too. Sit a little more still, please, Leo. We're making a little bit of racket. And black plays E6. So this is known as the queen's gambit declined. Why is it the decline? Because black is not taking the pawn on C4. Instead, he's just defending his D5 pawn. This is very, very common. Same with the, Yoko Pianissimo in the last one, round 2. I suspect many of you have played this position. I know I have a lot. So there's a lot of different things white could do here. I don't want to spend too much time on opening variations. So we'll just stick with the game. Maybe I'll do a Queen's Gambit lesson a little later on this channel. But Gukesh decides, yeah, he does. He plays CX D5, which is the exchange variation. Why is it called the exchange? Because we are exchanging the pawn. We're giving up our advantage in space in exchanging the pawn, but we still have the first move advantage as white. So Gukesh gets another piece out, knight C3. 2 knights developed versus 1. And black Ding plays C6. Nice pawn chain. Strengthening the center pawn. And queen to C2. Can anybody tell me why queen C2 is a popular move here? Let me look at the chat. Let's see if anybody knows. Why is queen C2 a popular move? And I'll wait for some answers in the chat. Does anybody know why queen C2 is a popular move? Leo, do you know maybe why white would play queen C2 here?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay. Anybody know why white might play queen C2?
That's white losing.
Well, let's not worry about the results so much. Let's worry about the process. Queen c2 is preparing. Well, first of all, is putting the queen in a semi-open file.
I just noticed the E.
Yes, but it's preparing to play e4, right?
That's why I just noticed. Why are you gonna give us the answer?
Good. I'm glad you noticed. All right. And then black plays g6. So Ding is preparing to fianchetto his bishop. And then likely get castled. And then Gukesh steps out of the, what we normally play. Queen c2 is quite common. h3, not really. h3 is not really common at all. So this takes us out of the opening. Quit swinging my chair so much. h3 takes us out of, the opening preparation probably for Ding. What's more common there? Well, simply just playing bishop g5, right? Developing with a pen makes a lot of sense. But h3, interesting move. So to h3, instead of going straight in the fianchetto right away, Ding develops with a threat against the queen on c2. This is common. However, I kind of shy away from playing this kind of move, even though it's developing with a threat, because my bishop lacks maneuverability. For instance, if g4 is played, the bishop can't step back like it normally would like to, because we've already played g6. So I like to leave this bishop back there on c8. Maybe here I would have played queen c7. That said, I think bishop f5 is the best chess move possible. It's just this bishop really lacks some maneuverability and flexibility when it gets out there. So queen needs to leave c2. And it goes to b3, attacking the new weak square because the bishop came out. So black takes more control of e4, stopping the e4 push, but leaves b7 vulnerable. Interesting. Let's see what happens. Queen b6 happens. So the two queens are staring at each other. There's a stare down of the queens, and certainly Gukesh could trade queens. I don't see anything too wrong with that. It would give black, the rook some good scope.
That's why
right?
you could let black start with to trade queen.
But he plays g4. Here's this bothering of the bishop that lacks flexibility. So now we see why he played h3. Now we're understanding what this new plan is in this position. But Ding trades queens before moving his bishop because he knows, well, white has to take back. And now there's double isolated pawns, right?
That could be over.
And this bishop's still under attack, so guess what Ding does? He comes down here, which is the best move. I mean, it's moving the bishop to safety, threatening a pawn. However...
And the quadrant of the king.
Yeah, but it's all by itself. It's all by itself. It's very exposed. It just feels awkward. I don't like it here. It's the best move, but this is what Gukesh wanted. This is why he played the h3. This is, he has gotten the position he wants out of this thus far. So, what does he do? He plays bishop f4. He doesn't worry about this. If Ding wants to take it, that's fine. It'll cost him another tempo. In fact, let's see. In fact, I think it could get trapped. I think it's a trap. And let's see. Let's see if I remember this correctly. I haven't looked at this game in a little while. Yeah, he plays h5. There's a lot of defenders on this square, so he can safely play it, creating some tension over here. Challenging Gukesh's fresh idea of the g4. But let's look at this trap that I mentioned. Let me see what I got in my notes here. I think I see it. There we go. If bishop takes b3, then white can simply play knight d2, threatening Mr. Bishop. And then
it would go to safety.
If it goes to c4, then knight takes, pawn takes, right? And then e4 is ready to get played really soon. For instance, let me show you that. Bishop c4.
I'm seeing.
Knight takes.
I can go through in my head.
Good. Dx c4. I'm glad you can go through in your head. e3, knight b to d7. Not everybody can go through in their head as good as you, Leo. So it's good to show some of these things. If this happens, and I'm white, I'm happy. I got a pawn center. Black doesn't. My bishops look good. My knight looks good.
You have one more piece developed.
Yeah, one more piece developed. I'm happy. But more interesting, perhaps, is if here. Hang on. So if Ding takes, and then knight goes there, what happens if bishop c2, Leo? What should white play?
White should put rook to c1.
Very good. Rook
yes,
c1.
It's
and then,
now
bishop e4. Now what would you play?
Now you just take with your knight.
Do we have something better, though?
Well, F.
Yeah, we move the f pawn, and the bishop is trapped. So this is a well thought out plan by Gukesh. And he doesn't care if Ding takes this pawn. He would be happy if he did. But Ding calculates. He used a lot of time, though. See, he had to use a lot of time to see what's going on. And he's already getting down on the clock. And then h5 is played. So now there's a little bit of a problem here, right? First of all, there's only one defender for white currently. And second of all, this is pinned. So two problems. Gukesh solves both with one move. Rook g1. And now things are getting a little sharp. This rook is in a funny spot. This bishop's in a funny spot. So you have to really look at all your checks, captures, and threats. All right. So hx g4, hx g4, and now this rook has an open file. And then if you're just joining us, I saw an ad start playing, so I'll restate who I am and what we're doing. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. We are doing the Winter Chess Camp 2024 in celebration of Gukesh Domaraju's World Championship victory. We're studying some of the games from the World Championship. It is December 31st, 2024.
The last day of 2024.
The last day of 2024. And we are live. Live lesson. All right. And am I in a variation here? It looks like I should not be. There we go. Okay, so I fixed my chess.com screen as well. Okay, let's see where we're at. Ding plays knight b to d7, developing his other knight. So 1, 2, 3, 4 pieces developed versus 3.
He still can't castle.
But yeah, he still can't castle. Well, I mean, he could theoretically castle. Are you talking about a ding? It would not be a good move, but yes, he could theoretically do it.
What does theoretically mean?
It would be bad. It would be bad in theory. Good question. Let's see. So Ding's pieces are becoming more organized. This bishop, again, it just kind of lacks some flexibility. And then we see knight b to d2. And now this bishop is kind of getting trapped. We saw this, a similar thing with the rook c1 and f3 a moment ago.
They're still threatening to do the trap with the rook.
Yes. Yeah, it's definitely getting a little bit trapped.
What they have to do is do the rook c1
let's
and
see.
then
Let's see what Ding does. Ding plays rook g8. Why would he do that? If this is about to get trapped, Leo. Why
that way he can scoot his pawn to find the bishop.
Very good, Leo. You're right. He wants to scoot this pawn. So if this were to attack there, he would attack there. Then if Gukesh decides to save his bishop, Ding's bishop can retreat. Has a square. Kind of clever, huh? Now,
Yeah.
if you know what your opponent's going to do, then what might you do in response? Here is white. If you know black's planning to do this, what might you play, Leo?
I thought about scooting the G pawn.
Yes, very good. Now black can't do that. Now his bishop can still get trapped with rook c1, f3.
And
his knight is under attack. Give me 5. This is really sharp stuff, man. This is the first time Leo's seen this game. Proud dad. But he does lots of puzzles. Knight h5. Threatening Mr. Bishop. Leo, you just pushed a chord and some power stop. Try and sit a little bit more still. I know you got happy. But we don't want our computer to turn off. Then I don't have the notes from the book that I have started writing on this match. All right, so knight h5 saves the knight, threatens the bishop. And Gukesh moves his bishop to safety. But then Ding puts his rook into the file with the undefended bishop. And now we see f3 get played. And again, we have this idea of a trap, but also e4. We also have e4. So this bishop can come back to f5 now because this pawn's no longer on g4, right? So it's not as much of a trap. But White's preparing to push e4. Way back when White had the queen on c2, he was also preparing to play e4. This is a common theme in the Queen's Gambit.
I remember that part.
Okay, let's see. So Black's knight comes back to threat the bishop. However, it blocks the fianchetto possibility. So Ding does something that's good. Most of the time in chess, all moves have a positive and a negative. Here the positive is the discovered attack. The negative is, remember this bishop long time ago wanted to fianchetto. Let's see. So Gukesh moves his bishop out of harm's way. And this now is where Ding starts to get confused with his plan. He doesn't play the best, most obvious plan. What would you do as Black, Leo, right here?
Well, first of all, you might want to save your bishop.
Well, our bishop does have the retreat square, but you're right. We could just, you know what? You're right. Let's just pull it out of here, right? We don't like it there, do we?
Yeah, and we don't want to get trapped.
We don't want to get trapped. We could still get trapped. We could still easily get trapped. There's some, once e4 is played, then this, and then, we could get trapped. So let's just pull it out. It shouldn't be here in the first place. Let's just pull it out, and then if for some reason we get threatened again, I mean, we can always just fall back. But on f5, it's helping, fight for e4, but it's in a much safer location. All right, I'm with you there. Now, the move that I was thinking was, get a new piece out, threaten g5, right?
That's also a pretty good idea.
Both of these are good ideas. If bishop e7, I have many variations in this book that follow the ideas of bishop e7, and Ding would just have the advantage. He also has a smaller advantage, but a lasting one, with bishop f5. He does neither. Now I'm deciding, let's look at just one line of bishop e7 and then one line of bishop f5. Because I have a lot of stuff in the book that's going to come out, but we don't have that much time today. All right, so bishop e7, if he does play it, and we'll have to make this a variation in a moment because he does not, then white could still play rook c1, right? Threatening Mr. Bishop. And then the bishop could go to f5.
That's like my idea.
And then e4. And then, like I said, bishop could fall back to e6. And then bishop can move up to f4 to defend the pawn. And then rook could go to h4 to threaten the bishop, which is defending the pawn. And then bishop goes to g3, rook goes to h5. This is attacked a couple times. And then bishop could go back to f4.
Or you could just go your flatty pawn.
You could, but that, it's always dangerous to scoot the Freddy pawn, right?
We already did.
Knight b6. And then king f2. Some weird moves here in this variation. King f8, so on and so forth. And black has a fine position. In fact, a small advantage in piece placement and pawn structure, right? Because white still has these ugly double isolated pawns. But let's now look at Leo's idea. And Leo's idea was not bishop e7 after bishop g3, but bishop f5. Pull it out. We'll look at one of these, and let's see what I got in my notes. We'll just go a little bit in. Bishop f5. White could still play e4, right? And then just bishop e6. And you could still get to the other variation we just looked at by transposition, but
the first position leads to the other.
This is a nice file for the rook. These are ugly pawns. I have to kind of like black's position a little bit better, even though white has a little more control of the center. But okay, so getting back to the actual game, we saw 17 knight g7, bishop g3, and now, let me double check, I'm pretty sure, yeah, this is where he plays Ding, gets a little mixed up with his best plan, and he plays rook h5. Rook h5 was a possibility if the bishop e7 was played first, as we saw a moment ago. But it's out of order in this case. So rook h5, e4, here it comes, the big pawn push. And now another misstep. This one's hard though. The first one, I think, you know, the bishop e7 or the bishop f5, as we pointed out a moment ago, made
They
sense.
still have
This one's a little
defending
tricky.
it.
Knight e6 is what should be played here, because then you're targeting a new weak square, right? You're targeting a couple weaknesses, right?
Yeah, and try and stop
But what Ding does is he just plays dxe4, and this is what Gukesh wanted him to do, no doubt. And let's see. So dxe4, fxe4. Gukesh has very strong, flexible pawn center now. And now knight e6. So it's like Ding's playing the moves, just one move too late or one move too early. And it makes a big difference. And now rook c1, threatening Mr. Bishop. And now watch this. Here's the idea. Knight takes d4. Defending the bishop, threatening this now twice. Bishop f2, threatening the knight, which is defending the bishop. And then you hate to have a piece under attack and then the piece which is defending it also under attack. And then right here, bishop g7 was played. Bishop c5 also runs into a little bit of
it doesn't work.
Problems. Oh, you know what? You're right. It doesn't work, Leo. How do you know all this so fast?
Because if the right bishop takes, the dark bishop could take. Actually, how did this order go this again?
Okay. What you're probably noticing, Leo, is white can attack this now twice.
Yeah.
This once. And it's a disaster for black.
Oh, now I see why it's thinking.
White boom.
Could take the
Boom.
bishop. No, not like that.
Not like that.
You could just take white now with the bishop.
This?
Yes, then the other bishop takes.
Well,
then
yeah.
Could take.
But then the rook could take, but then the bishop could take, right?
No, but then you could take back.
Oh, with the okay. Let's
Let's
take a look at what you're. Let's take a look at what you're doing, because you bring up an interesting point. I don't think it quite works, because if bishop takes, now are you saying what here for black?
The bishop, the black bishop takes the white bishop.
This here? Did you notice that it's threatening this rook now?
No.
Yeah. So if this goes here, kapowie zowie, right?
Oh,
Okay.
you didn't say that.
Okay, all right.
Could
No.
go the other way.
No, this is a great what if. I'm glad you asked. That's a really good what if. And it wasn't in my notes yet. I'll have to put that in my notes for the book, because
Hey, at least you have a new note.
I have a new note. Thank you. Knight e2 though. Now this is threatened twice, and that fixes this problem, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. And if this is threatened twice, and this is threatened once, how do we not lose material here? Answer is,
Nothing.
I don't think there's a way. I think you're going to lose a piece.
Yeah.
So let me
no
go back.
way.
There's no way.
It's impossible.
Let me go.
Because it's off like that.
So let's go back here, and instead of bishop g7, which fails. Sometimes I pronounce words a little lazy. Failure. Fails. Bishop c5 is another way to defend this, right? But then you run into knight a4, threatening the second defender again. And you could play knight takes b3. It gets a little tricky, right? But then...
Still doesn't work.
Yeah. Rook takes, right?
Yeah.
And then, let's see, bishop takes.
Actually, why wouldn't the knight just take
You'll see.
the knight?
Bishop takes, and then king takes, and then knight could go to d4, and threatening the rook. Rook goes to c1, And then this knight could hop up to e5. And that's all fine and dandy, but if you look at it, you got two knights. They got two knights and a bishop still. Let's see if I have anything else worth noting. Well, knight can go to c5 and threaten more stuff right off the bat. Black can castle queenside to take care of this problem. And then king e3 threatening a knight. This is just notes from my book. Rook h2.
It won't threaten it enough because
yeah, you're right.
Defended.
Rook h2 gets a 7th rank. And let's see, Rook h2 gets 7th rank. Knight c4 threatening this. Knight takes. Rook takes. Now this is under attack twice. As Leo said a moment ago, it was not under attack enough. Now it is. Knight c2, because it is defended by the rook. This is very complicated. King f4, and then knight can go back to d4. And again, check it out. You're down a minor piece. You may have extra pawns as black, but you're down a minor piece. And white's king is closer to the center. And it's tricky. It was a better option for black. I gotta say it's a better option for black, because if you look at the rooks than what Ding played in the actual game, if you look at the rooks, they're very nicely placed. If you look at the knight, it's very nicely placed. So bishop c5 would have been better than bishop g7, in my opinion. But both sides are gonna. All roads lead to being down a piece, which is not happy. And how did that happen? It's because the bishop was awkward on c2, right? Okay. So bishop adds.
Let's get back to the game.
Let's get back to the game. And then let's see. Knight e2 was played, and that is perfect. Two attackers on the all-important defender of the awkward bishop on c2. And bishop g7. Let's make sure that I'm at the right thing. All right, good. And then knight e2. We've had knight e2. What did I do wrong? Why am I mixed up? 23, knight e2, 20. Okay, no, we're good.
You just have to play the
So Ding realizes that everything's going to lose a piece. Everything. He uses a bunch of time here, and everything's going to lose a piece. So now he's in serious time trouble. He was already in time trouble. Now he's in serious time trouble. It's bad enough to be down, a piece and have some pawns as compensation.
Yeah, like you could possibly be down a knight.
But he plays knight takes b3. But let me just prove my point real fast. So if knight takes e2, then bishop takes e2, and that doesn't work because, see, this is under attack and this is under attack, right? Let's see, what else do I got?
And now I noticed why the knight couldn't take back on the knight.
So knight e2 was the move, and then bishop takes e4. What about that? Well, if bishop takes e4, then knight can take d4. Then this bishop can move to safety, but see, they just took a piece, right? And then bishop
+1.
Then bishop e2 threatening the rook again. See, this rook is on the wrong square. And then maybe you just go back.
It's supposed to be unified.
Yeah, it's supposed to be unified. But you're in trouble again. And then let's see. I think I had one more. Yeah. What if bishop takes d3? Well, or I'm sorry, b3. Same thing. Knight takes d4. Then the bishop can come back to e6. And then I have bishop e2 threatening Mr. Misplaced Rook. Rook h7. Knight takes e6. Trading when you're ahead, fx e6. and then knight to c4, guarding b2. You don't want to lose b2. If you lose b2, even though you're up the minor piece, these pawns would just be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, because
3 connected.
rooks
Yeah.
cannot stop pawns easily.
No, they can't. Yeah, we've learned this in
Only
many
kings
endgame.
can stop
and
easily.
knights. Yeah, kings and knights can blockade past pawns. Good for you, Leo. You know your stuff. All right. So bishop g7, and then knight e2, and then knight takes b3 is what Ding chose. It was the poison that he chose. He knows he's going to lose a piece, and have some pawns as compensation. So he went this way. Rook takes c2, knight takes d2, and then I'm sure king takes d2, yes. Gukesh is up a piece, and Ding is in serious time trouble. The two things are very bad together. And let's see, knight e5, I believe is what Ding plays, and that, you know, makes a lot of sense. Knights are close range attackers. It's a good square. If you're Ding, if you are black, you got to eventually advance these pawns, and it's not easy. It's going to take a lot of moves, but 3 minus 1 would equal 2 pass pawns. All you need is 1 pass pawn necessarily, and you might be able to do something, but it's going to take a lot. And you know, white's position's just easier to play because pieces move faster than pawns, and white has an extra piece, and the position's rather open. Knight goes to d4. It's a good move. Both knights are on good squares. Both guys getting their knights very active. Rook d8. Here comes a rook pinning Mr. Knight in the open file. So Gukesh steps out. King e2. Then Ding says, well, I'll pin the bishop to your king then. And then he plays bishop g2. You know, also 100% playable would have been knight f3, right? Knight f3 is just a little fork, and then you exchange a piece off. That's totally fine too. Gukesh went bishop e2. I'm sorry, g2. And I see another ad playing, so I'm going to remind everybody why I'm here. My name is Chris Torres. This is my son Leo. And this is the free online winter chess camp, and we are looking at game 3 of the World Championship Match, where Gukesh strikes back. He's going to win this game.
No, isn't this wine?
And tie up the...
It's wine.
What's one?
This game is it this game put to be wine?
White's going to win, yeah. So he's going to tie up the match. Yeah. No, this is 3. We didn't look at game 1. We looked at game 2 this morning. This is game 3. I decided to do games 2 and 3 in our lessons. I could have chosen many games from this book that I'm writing on the match and from the match itself, but I decided to go this way. All right. So what we just saw was Ding put his rook in the D file. Gukesh's king steps out of the file, so knight's not pinned. Then Ding pins the bishop, which is defending the knight to the king. So Gukesh put a bishop in the way. He could have also played knight f3. And now we see a6, the slow march of the pawns. And then b3. I really like this move. Ding was in a lot of time trouble. And b3 means you're not going to lose this pawn. If you lose the b pawn, black has 3 connected pass pawns.
Plus it's a walk.
If you hang on to the b pawn, they have 0 pass pawns. This pawn is the most valuable pawn on the board. It's the most valuable pawn on the board because none of these pawns are pass pawns. As long as that's there.
Yeah, because they can't get across that pawn.
So I really like that move, especially because his opponent was in time trouble. Rook goes to d7. Seems like a fine move, scooting the rook up. There's some possibility that eventually this rook comes back and around, and maybe you have a battery. Your 7th rank's guarded, so you can scoot this up and not worry about dropping this pawn now. These things make sense. And then we see the rook goes back. Well, now the rooks are unified, right?
Just like
now the rooks, yeah. Now the rooks can, Gukesh's rooks can fight for any open file they want. They're connected. And there was definitely some variation I remember looking at where this rook could have also been targeted by something. Now it's in a much safer spot and connected. Most important is the rooks can fight for the files. King e7. Kings should get near the center. Rook c to d1, fighting for the file. And then king e8. Why would he move up to move back? I'll tell you.
To try and get a draw.
No, he was in horrible time trouble. Ding lost this match. His chess was really good, by the way. Ding Liren, super talented chess player. He lost the match because number one, he was risk aversive, meaning he didn't take enough risks. Gukesh was happy to take risks. It's another reason why I like his style.
And
he's a risk taker. And Ding spent too much time thinking about the wrong time in the game. Time management really bit him hard. All right, so let's see, king e8. And then watch this, fork.
Cool.
Yeah, just basic fork. We all see this. Rook goes to safety, back to that awkward h5 square. Knight f3. Check this out.
Now they're fighting it twice and they're defending it once.
Yeah, so it's kind of saying let's trade knights because Gukesh has the bishop pair, Ding does not, and so yeah, Ding pretty much needs to. And then you might think, bishop takes, but king takes is actually better because kings want to be closer to the center. Yeah. Bishop to d4. And this ends up being a mistake. It looks pretty good because the bishop...
Did this happen?
Yes. The bishop gets to an active square. It's got a lot of scope because check it out. I mean, let's just look. Look at the scope of this beautiful bishop. It looks good at first glance because Ding's got a dark bishop. All his pawns are on light squares. I like it. His rooks aren't coordinating well, but the bishop looks great. But there's a problem, and we're going to see it in a moment. Well, first of all, this rook, Gukesh has an easy solution to the threat, and that is to threaten a trade of rooks. And then you probably just need to trade rooks, unfortunately.
Yeah,
but he plays rook g5, and we'll get back here in a moment.
It's rook x g5.
Yeah, rook x g5. But the rook, so we'll get back to the rook takes g5 because it's a mistake. Rook takes h1. Let me get to my spot in my book so I can play along at home. Then rook takes h1, and then let's see. Then this bishop needs to get off the diagonal with the rook because that rook can be, you can, we're going to see it in a moment, but this kind of thing. So I have bishop c3, just get it off. But then bishop f4, and then bishop d2. Get rid of that bishop pair. It's a very clever way to get rid of it. But then rook can go to h8, king e7, and then this rook could go to b8. You want to try and hit these pawns because remember that's black's only hope. It's black's only hope. b5, and bishop h3, threatening the rook. There we go again with that bishop h3 idea. Rook to d3, smack. And then king goes to e2, saying take mine, I take yours. There goes the bishop pair. at least.
But his pawn.
King takes.
His pawn, no.
And then, yep, then his pawn goes too. And then, but then rook goes to b7. And then king has to step out of check. What else do I have in this variation? Rook goes to c7, threatening this from the backside again.
Why not if you could fork these pawns?
You'll see. a5, and then rook takes c6. So these two passed pawns are a little dangerous, but because they're connected, but this rook's behind the passed pawns. The king's in the quadrant where those pawns are going to be going to. You know, white's going to win this game. White's going to win this game.
Now I know why.
Especially given the fact that, you know, this rook can go in here and do this kind of stuff and come back around, and then you know, this is a pass pawn as soon as that drops. White has the advantage. Grandmasters, white's going to win this game. But, okay, so Ding had 9 seconds. By the way, he had 9 seconds left on his clock.
That's dangerous.
When this move was played, he had like 9 seconds left on his clock. And he plays, boom. Rook takes.
He had to watch.
And this, he has to get to move 40, Leo. He's on move 35. He has to get to move 40, and then he gets a half hour more on his clock, or maybe it was an hour. I forget the exact details, but he gets a bunch more time. But he has to play like 5 good moves. And
that's a bad move.
We are now. This is a bad move, even though it looks very tempting, right? It evens up material. It evens up material. Material is dead even right here. But my question to you, Leo, or anybody who's watching, what is the game-winning tactic for Gukesh? Gukesh plays.
The game-winning tactic is to put your rook to say check and then pin the other rook to the king.
Even better than that, because that, yeah, I see what you're saying. But if you do this, remember, bishops can move backwards. Yeah. So try again.
No, I'm gonna find it.
I'll give you a moment or two. While Leo's taking a moment trying to come up with the game-winning move. This game really kind of puts it on ice. This move evens up the match. My name is Chris Torres. This is Daily Chess Musings. Check us out at dailychessmusings.com. It's the free online winter chess camp. Check us out. There are thousands of free lessons online on dailychessmusings.com. We also have a club on chess.com. All right, I'll give you a hint, Leo. It's not a capture, it is a threat. The correct move here is a threat. It's not a check. It's not a capture. It is a threat. We should always analyze checks, captures, and threats. We have a video about that too. All the notes and little variations and things, they will be included. This video is just a taste of what you can expect in the forthcoming book on the match that I have written. But, you know, to be perfectly honest, I'm super happy to be sharing. Because one of the things, you know, that's kind of a bummer is when you're like writing a book or something, you don't get to share it right away. So you're putting in a lot of work, but nobody gets to see it. And I like sharing. Okay, Leo. A threat. What sort of threat? So it's not a capture, and it's not a check.
I'm still thinking.
Okay, so name a couple threats. What can we threaten?
We could threaten the bishop.
Okay, we're already threatening the bishop.
Well,
so.
we could threaten it more.
No. Try again.
Threaten the rook.
We could threaten the rooks. Which rook should we threaten first?
The white rook.
Yes. So he plays bishop h3. Now we know this rook has to stay in this file to defend the bishop, right? Right? Can it go here? No.
So it,
right? Can it go here? No.
So it's for...
And if it goes here,
it gets
kapowie zowie. Right? So, again, Ding is just down to like seconds. Yeah, it's very smart. He's down to just seconds. And he plays f5, which blocks the threat of the rook. But let me go ahead and look at that variation with you real fast. If he does play rook d8, yes, of course, it's losing, because then bishop h4, again, threatening both these guys simultaneously. Black could play bishop f6, and that way, at least if bishop takes g5, he can take back. But then there's a really cute move.
What about scooting your e-pawn first?
No, look at this.
Flatten the bishop.
Why is that a cute move, Leo? Why is that move awesome?
Because then, if the rook takes the bishop, you can win his rook.
Yes, if the rook takes the bishop, you're gonna win his rook.
Yes, because your other rook
and if he scoots this pawn forward, he loses this one because it's pinned there, right? And he can't defend the pawn because then he just loses his rook. So, yeah, you're gonna win. You're gonna win pawns or the rook, right? It's a cute little tactic. That's why I wanted to show that, even though it's it's really obvious why rook d8 doesn't work. The cute tactic there. It's always nice to. I like tactics. All right, so bishop h3 is going to win the game, but Ding plays f5 with just seconds left on his clock. And now, what does Gukesh play?
I'm going to stretch.
Okay, and we are on the last move of the game, move 37. Gukesh is going to run out of time in a second. But, I'm sorry, not Gukesh. Ding's going to run out of time in a second. But what does Gukesh play right here? So, if this threat was blocked by this, what do you think Gukesh does? What do you think he does?
Does he screw his king up?
He does not. Instead, he just does this, which threatens that rook. Now, where's that rook supposed to go?
It's supposed to go to
h5, right? And this is the last move that he plays when he loses on time. And what's the problem, though? So he lost on time. Ding Liren now has lost the game.
The problem is bishop could go down trying to trade rocks.
No, even better than that. Even better than moving the bishop back here is, where else can that bishop go?
That bishop could also go to
discovered attack, double attack.
Does it take the pawn?
Yeah, I'm sure Gukesh would have. He didn't have time, but he would have won on the position too. He would have won on the chessboard. He beat Ding on the clock, but he would have beat him on the board too.
Yeah.
Because now both rooks are simultaneously under attack.
Yeah, and pawn can't take because otherwise you lose a rook.
Yeah, if pawn takes, you're going to lose this rook. If something else, if this were to like go here, this is a check, right?
Yeah, and then you get
his other rook. Yeah, so he would have lost on the board anyways. As I like to do, let's go back through, look at the key moments. Key moments, game 3. Gukesh strikes back. d4, knight f6, knight f3, symmetrical. Queen's Gambit declined. Queen's Gambit declined exchange variation. Knight c3, c6, Queen c2 with the idea of e4, g6. All this is very normal. h3 is not normal. This is a new idea. I really like it. Gukesh, brilliant, man. h3, knowing that this bishop will develop there, and then you can play g4.
Yeah, it's really easy when you know what your opponent's plans are.
Yeah, well, he knew what Gukesh did preparation. So he was prepared. And he was okay with these double isolated pawns, see? Some people would be afraid of that. No, he was okay. because now this bishop is under attack, and it's going to go to where it's awkward, right? And he knew that. He was prepared. Bishop f4. He doesn't care about this pawn. Remember, he can he can trap it or just get a better position. We looked at both variations.
Yeah.
In fact, let's look at the non-trap one real fast.
Yeah, it's great.
And then the bishop c2. I'm sorry, no, bishop to c4 is not getting trapped. Bishop c2, it gets trapped. But if this goes here, boom, 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 white's just better. White has a pretty position. Easy, better piece placement. So, and then, well, I'll look at the trap too. The trap is also pretty. Bishop takes b3, knight d2, and then if bishop c2, rook c1, right? And then f3. Bishop's gone. Bishop's gone.
No matter what.
This is Gukesh preparation right here. And it was very wonderful preparation. So Ding plays h5, which creates really fun tension over in this zone. And there's two attackers on g4, so Gukesh puts a second defender. He didn't have to think too long. He was prepared for this as well. Ding's clock's been ticking a lot. There's the knight d2. And, oh yeah, g5, because otherwise black's going to play g5. This bishop would have a square to escape to, and this would be under attack. So he plays g5 first. Knight goes out. Bishop goes safety. Rook goes into the file with the bishop. f3 in preparation for e4. Bishop's under attack. Goes to safety. Rook h5. Bad move. Again, Leo liked...
The bishop f5.
Just get the bishop back out of there. And then the objectively best move was just bishop e7. But rook h5, that's third best, and that's not good enough here. Might even be further down the line than third best, but it's at least third best. e4, boom, boom. Knight goes to e6. Should have done that one move sooner instead of just taking. Knight e6 would have been better right here, because then you're threatening this and this, at least, right? But taking just gives Gukesh the pawn center. Now knight e6. Rook goes to attack bishop. Knight takes pawn, defends bishop, but this is a problem.
Bishop f7.
Your piece that's defending, bishop f2, he means, now it's under attack.
No, this bishop goes.
Yeah, and then bishop goes to g7 to defend it. But then, see, as we said, you can't just take here to do this because of this, But, so he plays knight e2, which is the only winning move, and Gukesh finds it because Gukesh is very, very gifted chess player. And then it's pick your poison. You're gonna lose material no matter what for black. So, boom, 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 boom. Knights improve. Rook. Ding's rook pins knight. Gukesh steps out. Ding's other rook pins bishop. Bishop g2, knight f3 is also playable, as we said. Pawns start advancing. B pawn moves to the safe square. It's very safe here, because you cannot allow that pawn to drop to this bishop or this rook, because if that pawn drops, black has 3 connected passed pawns. So pieces are improving. Rook goes to the open file, and then Ding starts playing quickly. He drops back because he just needs to play safe moves. Uh-oh, fork. Rook goes back to h5. Force trade of knights. Bishop goes to where it has a ton of scope, but this becomes a problem because after rook threatens rook, now this rook is under attack, and it's defending that bishop, and it has no good squares. And then Ding loses on time, but he would have lost the game anyways with there. I hope you enjoyed this lesson on Gukesh versus Ding Liren, World Championship game number 3. I really enjoyed showing it to you. Gukesh strikes back. He tied up the match, and then he would go on to win. But starting the match with a loss, it really showed a lot of maturity that Gukesh came back in game 2, was fine, and then ties it up in game 3. You can't let one loss, you can't let a loss destroy your chances. You have to leave losses in the past and move forward. Gukesh is very good at that, especially considering that he is only 18. My name is Chris Torres. This is Leonis Maximus Torres. We are Daily Chess Musings. This is the free online winter chess camp, and I will see you again in the future. Bye.